makes no sense. Oh, hello. Welcome to the bookstore. Now, this is our grand opening. We're brand new on the scene. It's a predominantly used bookstore. I hope you were aware of that when you came in here. Okay, good. I'm just gonna put this back on my shelf. Who doesn't love Star Wars, right? But I can't understand anything about that book. It's almost as if I was reading it upside down or something weird. So, what are you here for? You looking for some books? Okay, well, you've come to the right place, because that's what we predominantly sell, because it is a bookstore. So you've made the right decision. So tell me, what do you like to read? What do you predominantly search for when you enter libraries and bookstores? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I like to read as well. Well, I think we can find you some good reading material that'll keep you busy for a good few weeks. So you said you were also a fan of Star Wars. Wonderful. Well, actually, we have a lot of used Star Wars books. In fact, let's take a look at that one I just put back. Maybe you'll be able to understand it better than me. But I was trying to read Star Wars: Tales of the Bounty Hunter, or Bounty Hunters, plural. And it's got all the bounty hunters there on the cover. I wanted to read it because Boba Fett is my favorite Star Wars character. If you didn't, if you couldn't already tell when you walked in here. But I just love these covers. These covers alone. You shouldn't judge a book by a cover, but I do. These are some nice covers. So let me just read you the back of it. 5 stories. There's 5 stories in one book. That's pretty good. 5 stories of the galaxy's most ruthless bounty hunters by some of today's finest writers of science fiction. Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. Let me try reading it again. Nothing. Oh, you're interested? Excellent. Okay, well, on the back here, it said it originally retailed for £4.99, but it's old and it's used. But it is Star Wars. Tell you what, I'll sell you this for $6.99. $6.99 is good. You could buy it online, right? But you'd have to wait a few days for it to arrive, and it might not be like this is old, but look how good condition this is in. You're happy with that? Wonderful. Yeah, I'm gonna put this over here. But you made a good choice. Star Wars is always fun to read. Star Wars. It's famously non-political. Who doesn't love space bears and spaceships and space and all things space and wars? Well, a lot of people don't like wars. I don't like wars, but if you ignore that part, Star. So you made a good choice. Is what I'm trying to say. I think I have a couple more Star Wars books in stock that you might be interested in. We have George Lucas, book he wrote himself, I think, Star Wars, from the Adventures of Luke Skywalker. Now this is an old book, very old book. Look at the spine is very creased, it's very yellowed. All books will yellow in time. But I think this is just a retelling of the A New Hope film, Episode 4, but in book form. Now, this originally retailed, and this is how you know it's old. This originally retailed for £1.75. Can you imagine going into a bookstore and finding a book for £1.75? Well, it's not this store, that's for sure. So I'll give you this for £3. That's pretty good, I think. £3 for a really old book. I mean, it's a collector's piece. Look, you've got Darth Vader, you've got Luke, and you've got Leia. Okay, those two have a weird relationship, don't they? You've got the Death Star, you've got it all. So, you're interested in this, right? Good stuff. I'm gonna put this with your other Star Wars book. I have now actually something that isn't a fictional book. It's more about the franchise of Star Wars. If you're interested, I can pull it out. It's very heavy. I might have to charge you just to bring it out. It's very heavy. So are you interested in looking at it? You are? Okay. Just give me a moment, okay? Oh my god. This is Star Wars year by year. And I don't think this is up to date. I think this goes up to the cartoon, the Clone Wars. So this is pre-Disney. So it doesn't have a lot of the newer stuff in, but it still has a good chunk of Star Wars history. Like, listen to that premium sounding book. Yeah, let's take a look inside. This, talks about comics, toys, collectibles, behind the scenes of the film, just like kind of pop culture in the 60s, 70s, and 80s that kind of inspired George Lucas. This is really hard to do. I hope you're appreciating the amount of effort I'm putting into showing you this book. But this is a really cool book, I think, personally. It's extremely heavy, so if you want it, beware. Lift with your body. I don't know what it is. Do you lift with your legs or your knees or your back? I don't know. Lift and be careful. This is very heavy, okay? I don't remember how much this retailed for. I could just check the box, but I'm not going to. I'll sell you this for $24.99. Well, it is second hand, but it's really good condition. So, what do you say? You'll take it. Wonderful, very nice. Okay, well, I'm gonna put it down before I have a hernia. Let's see. I think you've got enough Star Wars to last you a little while. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark, and I'm gonna say that you're somebody who enjoys poetry, specifically haikus. So, a haiku is like a 17-syllable poem, very short, and it's usually organized in a 5-7-5 method. And an interesting thing about this book is if you look at the spine, very nice spine here, you have these little crosses that have 5, 7, and 5, which I think is a neat little detail. But I'm gonna read you some because you don't look too into it. I get it. Alright, poetry is not for everyone, but I'll read you some. Okay, so this book has haikus for different seasons, for different animals, all sorts. Let me see if I can find one for summertime, because we're getting to summertime. There's a lot of poems about autumn. A lot of poems about autumn. My God, when does it end? There we go. summer. Get us in the mood for summer, right? Summer in the world, floating on the waves of the lake. Simple, right? I'll read you another. The melons are so hot, they have rolled out of their leafy hiding. Some hot melons for summer. The melons look cool, flecked with mud from the morning dew. Beautiful. It paints a real story in such a small amount of words. I think that's impressive. So what do you say? Some poetry? Do you wanna read some haikus? It's predominantly Japanese authors, but there is actually, towards the end of the book, some, American, British, and all that crap, writers who, do their own haikus. So you're interested? Wonderful. Well, this retailed at a price of £9.99. That was brand new. But I'm gonna say this is honestly in better condition than it was when it was new. $13.99, and that's my final offer. Just listen to that, right? That's good quality. You'll take it. That is what I love to hear. Thank you. You are going to be enriching your life with the wonderful words that only haikus can bring. Did I mention that you're my first ever customer? Well, you are my first ever customer. Yeah. If I've moved on to this, moved my shop into the street, and I think next door there's a game store next door. I met the owner. He seems horrible, but I just thought it was a nice looking street, and I thought, every street should have a bookstore. So I opened my little bookshop, and I'm glad that you're here. Oh, you're actually going to the game store next? Oh, well, I hope you get some good deals. He seemed kind of shady to me, I'm not gonna lie to you. Because in my store, I want to give people fair prices. And I don't want to scam nobody. No, I'm not here to scam people. I'm here to give them literature. So, just be careful with that guy. He might try and scam you. So I've been thinking, you like Star Wars, I like Star Wars, and I like Lord of the Rings too. And that's like Star Wars, kind of. And I have the trilogy here. We have the Fellowship of the Ring. We have the two towers, not the twin towers. We have the Return of the King, and we got the entire trilogy here. All 3 books. Kind of hard to see with your eyes, but these are great books. J.R.R. Tolkien is a fantastic writer. Sorry. Oh, you've never read or watched Lord of the Rings? Wow, I didn't know anybody like you existed. Let me give you a rundown, okay? I'm gonna just pop these back over here. Lord of the Rings is about a ring, and if I remember correctly, it's an engagement ring. There is a wizard named Gandalf, if memory serves correct. It's been a few years since I've watched and read these books and movies, but Gandalf is in love with this hobbit called Bilbo, and he proposes to him, but Bilbo says no. Bilbo doesn't want to marry Gandalf. It's very sad and it's very emotional because they build up to it in the first book. The whole first book is just building up to Gandalf proposing to Bilbo. Gandalf, heartbroken, storms out. Bilbo is looking at the ring and he's like, this is a nice looking ring, I should keep this. And so he runs away. Gandalf is upset. He's not a fan of this move. So what he does is he conjures up this vile creature called Gollum, okay? And he says to Gollum, fetch me my ring. And so Gollum goes to fetch the ring, and then there's some other hobbits too, like one's called like Pippin or something, and they're just kind of fighting and doing their own thing in the background. But the whole story predominantly evolves around the relationship between Gandalf and Bilbo, and eventually in the third book they make up and they do get married. But the ring gets like thrown into some lava or something. It was an accident. They didn't mean to do it. So now Gandalf kind of has to, work a few jobs to be able to afford a new ring. That's what I think the series is about. Like I said, it's been some years since I read it, but I'm pretty sure that's the gist of it. The Lord of the Rings trilogy. So have I sold you on it? Do you want to read that? Yeah, good. You're not making a mistake by picking up this series. It's very, very good, very heartbreaking, and very sad, but it's worth sticking with. Well, I think the only thing I have for you is a comic book. You didn't say you wanted a comic book. Oh, by the way, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is £20. I forgot to say that before you purchase them, but I can see you have your heart set on them. I'll sell you them for $18.99 because you're my first customer. Okay, no problem at all. Yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, I picked up a comic for you. I picked up Elvira meets Vincent Price. So I am a fan of horror, and I'm a big fan of both Vincent Price and Cassandra Peterson, who plays Elvira. It has beautiful art, fun story, and it is just all round a very enjoyable comic to read. I highly recommend this if you are a fan of horror, especially classic horror, and if you are a fan of Elvira, then I definitely recommend picking up this trade paperback comic book. It's just a shot in the dark, I kind of guessed right with the poetry thing, so I thought, why not pick this up? You might be interested, are you? Wonderful, I always try and get people into comics and manga and graphic novels in general. I think they're very fun to read, and I'm an enjoyer of art. So this doesn't actually have a proper price. It says here $19.99. No idea what that would be, here. But I'm gonna make an educated guess and say it's probably like £30 for brand new. Don't worry, I'm not gonna sell you this for that price. $29.95 is what I'll do. It is secondhand, yes, but like I said, all my books are practically brand new, except for the fact that they're not. And that's the only thing that's wrong with them. Everything else is great. You want it? Excellent. Well, I don't think I have anything else for you. I think you've done pretty well. I'm really happy that you were my first customer. You seem to just buy anything I gave you, and that's great. I hope more customers will be like you. I'm going to continue getting more stocking, so please come by anytime, because we're always getting new books in. And since you're my first customer, I'll tell you what. If you just give me your email address, your contact information, I'll accept payment in a few days. You don't have to pay right now. Yeah, if you just write it down. I have trackers fitted on all these books, just so you know. So if you do try to get out of not paying, I'm gonna find you. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, and you send me my payment, and you get to enjoy all these books. Wonderful. So your email address is... Okay, wonderful. Now I don't need to write it down. I've got an eidetic memory. I can remember everything. Well, I will get in touch with you in a few days. You enjoy these books and have fun at the game store. And I will hopefully see you in here again someday soon. Bye-bye.